and welcome to Flexmark Outdoors. If you've never been here, please subscribe. Yeah, we hunt. Yeah, we do product reviews. You've seen our Ford Ranger reviews, some rifle reviews, but we also fish. And today I'm here to teach you something about a lost art of fishing that I don't see a lot of people doing when it comes to trout fishing. It's called drift fishing. Now, anybody from where steelhead are prevalent, you know all about drift fishing, but other than steelhead and salmon fishermen, I haven't seen a lot of people drift fishing stretches of river for trout. So I want to give you just a brief demonstration on what I mean by drift fishing and how I've got my setup here. So I've got a hook right there. I've got about 24 inches of leader, you can see. What I call this is my South Fork combo. So I've got a bead right down there at that hook, my leader, a barrel swivel, and then I've got a slinky sinker. You can make these, you can buy these, but you'll see how that slinky sinker slides up and down the line. I like these slinky sinkers. Frankly, you can also use a barrel sinker of various sizes, but the advantage that gives you when you're doing what we call drift fishing is that's freely roaming along your main line. Now, because of the current of the river, it's mostly going to stay right up there on that barrel swivel and not move anywhere beyond that. The reason why that's so important is because when you got a fish hitting on the other end here, that fish, and for you to feel it on the end of your rod tip, that slinky sinker, that swivel that's holding that sinker on, that hit, that bite just comes right through that line, and there's no resistance. So your rod tip will be more sensitive. When you don't have some sort of a fixed sinker system on here where it's fixed to the line and this doesn't move, then when that fish hits, it's got to pull your sinker and everything else before it hits your tip of the rod. So this is going to be a much better system. The slinky sinker will also slide a little bit better over rocks and different things on the bottom and is less likely to get snagged than the barrel sinker. So anyway, there was a drift boat that came by the other day, and they showed, they held up a fish that they had caught, and it was a nice fish. But by the time I left here the other day fishing in this spot with this drift fishing system, I had caught 12 to 15 fish. I kept a couple, smoked them up, and I didn't move. You find a nice spot on the river, this is a deadly method to catch a lot of fish. And let me show you what I do as far as my bait. Sometimes the old-fashioned ways, sometimes they're just the best. So this is the time-honored and worthy worm, the night crawler. So I've got my hook. Let me just show you how I do this. Come on. I put that hook right through the tip of that worm, and I thread that worm up the hook. Come on, yeah, they don't want to cooperate, neither would you. I thread him up the hook, and then I'll make that bend at the hook and poke that worm through so that it looks like that, and then I'll scrunch that worm up just above my hook. So then that is what it looks like. Then what I do is I just pinch off part of that worm. So that's what it looks like there. And then of course, it's called the South Fork combo for that reason. Combo of an orange, red, blue, I've never used blue, but orange, pink, red bead in combination with that worm. And this, as it hits the bottom, is going to be carried down and bump over the top of rocks and everything else. And you'll have your trailer here that's about 2 feet in front of that sinker, just sort of bouncing along the bottom, waiting to come in contact and drift past one of those fish that are held up in the stretch of river that you want to fish. So let's go down to the river and I'll show you what we got going on. It's going to be a little interesting. So you want to cast it upriver, get the slack out of your line, then you're going to watch the tip of your rod. Bounce, you see that bounce? It's just bouncing off the bottom. It's hard to tell sometimes the difference between a hit and a fish. That's why that sinker is so important, that it slides on the line. But when it's a fish, it's much more distinct of a tug. So we're a lot farther down the river now with our drift. We've got some underwater current down there. Ooh, there's a hit. You see that? That's a hit. See that? That's a hit. And we've got a fish. And that is how you do it, folks. First catch or first cast, drift fishing with bait right off the bottom. Now granted, he's not a big fish, I'll give you that. Oh! He popped off for me right there at the end. That's not such a bad thing. Let's see what happens on cast number 2. Now this isn't going to work on every river or on every single spot or every time of year perhaps, but that's up to you to decide to see what's working and what isn't. You know, if you're 6 casts in, for example, and you hit a snag out of 3 out of 6 of those casts, and you break off three lines. Oop, there's a hit. Hang on. Oh, I missed him. And I lost my sunglasses. Oh, there they are. So, back to what I was saying here. That's why a lot of people don't drift fish. Is because they get tired of losing tackle, losing line, having to rebait up, retie hooks, and all that other stuff. And again, that's for you to decide. If you're losing a lot of setups, then it might not be the right spot. But again, you need to at least try that spot to give a little bit of determination on what the bottom looks like down there. For example, I know that about 10 yards out in front of me from fishing here a few days ago, there's a snag down there. And I lost a couple setups, but I didn't get discouraged. And I found, oops, man, this is really hard with this camera on here. But I found that if I cast it out just a little bit beyond where I thought that snag might be, I wasn't hanging up on it. Getting towards the end of my drift here. I get a lot of the hits right here on this stretch. Oop, there we go. There's a hit. Oh, there's a fish. Got him. What is that? 3 casts and 3 fish. So we're back here at the truck at the tailgate. Just to review a few things. I don't know, 6 or 7 fish, hits on almost every cast. Catch fish like this. Just a beautiful, beautiful fish. He's a little dark, but he is a he's a mix between a rainbow and a cut. They call it a cut bow. Anyway, you'll see. It wasn't very easy to see before, but if I hold him like so, you see where he's part cutthroat right there, up near his gills and his mouth, but obviously part rainbow. Got a little knot on his head too. Oh, interesting guy. Anyway, he'll smoke up really nice. But I mean, what I was telling you before about that drift boat that came down, I mean, perfect timing. Another drift boat comes by and I'm sitting here on the bank. Haven't moved in an hour, just sitting here slaying the fish. So anyway, again, I'm not an expert fisherman, but I thought it would be fun to make this video for Flexmark Outdoors.